Let's talk sports, fans. Thanks for tuning in.
Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I am Bodkins, and of course, with me is my main guy, Wit. It is, man, this weekend, so this past weekend, not a whole lot, but this weekend, so much to get into. It is UFC 302, and then we also got some boxing, a 5v5 going on in Saudi Arabia as well. But before we talk about Saturday, Uncle Dana broke some news to us today. None other than the return of the Diaz Army. Nick Diaz versus Vincent Luque. At welterweight, nonetheless. Are you excited for the return of the one and only Nick Diaz? Surprised. So for context, Nick has been ready to fight. I wanted GSP. That obviously wasn't ever going to happen. Then he wanted MVP. That didn't work out. Then he wanted Kevin Holland. Kevin didn't want to wait because he's fighting on Saturday. And now he is fighting none other than Vincent Luque.
Right.
How surprised are you of the return of Nick Diaz?
Bro, let's say this, and me and you kind of discussed it, off camera, and I'm in the mindset of almost any Diaz is a good Diaz, but we'll take Nick. We'll definitely take Nick for the terms of the eyes that will be brought to the camera, in terms of the excitement that he brings to the ring. But we also, here on Headkicks and Haymakers, we got to be realistic, bro. He has not fought anybody.
His last fight was in 2021 against Robbie Lawler, and I don't know if you remember that, but I do. It was like two drunk uncles fighting at the barbecue. That's what that fight reminded me of. So he did not come in great shape. This fight is at welterweight. The last time, Nick fought at welterweight was March 16th, 2013. Last time he won a fight was against BJ Penn, October 29th, 2011. So it's been over a decade since Nick Diaz won a fight. And I'm surprised at the opponent in Vincent Luque, and I'm surprised that it's in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, bro, you said a mouthful right there. When you think about the peak of the Nick Diaz allure, it's right there with BJ Penn. BJ Penn being one of the greatest ever to put on gloves. But then you see some tough losses, some really tough losses. I feel like I was watching the fight with Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit used to be the axe murderer, one of the fan favorites. I used to watch him a lot. GSP, one of the best top 5 ever, took a loss. Then Robbie Lawler, like you said, came out of shape, came unprepared. It looked like two drunk uncles. Robbie Lawler was on somewhat of his last leg of his career as well.
Last fight, Robbie's second to his last fight.
Yeah, it was on Robbie's last leg of his career as well. I don't know what to expect, but then you got him against Vincent Luque, who is no slouch. Is right now 15-6, and it's coming off of a loss against Joaquin Buckley, of course. But
Luque's ranked at 14, by the way. So if Nick Diaz finds a way to win, Nick Diaz will be ranked. And nonetheless, he turns 41 the day before this fight. So 41-year-old Nick Diaz,
41.
Hey, you might as well mark down year of 2024 of fights I don't want to nobody asked for. Tyson versus Paul, Nick Diaz versus Vincent Luque. Nobody asked for these fights.
No, it's not what we asked for, but Uncle Dana said, man, I got to give him something, man. I'm sick of the Diaz brothers, fighting or being around everywhere. Because listen, literally every event, every sporting event, they're somewhere. They're screaming they want to fight. Nick Diaz wants to box. Nick Diaz wants to get back into the ring. And I'm sure Dana was like, man, I'm sick of these guys calling my phone, man. I'm just gonna give them something. And this is one. Shout out to my guy Tanner Dawson, Uncle Tanner. What's up, bro? Appreciate you. And I'm always working. Yes, I am always working.
Here's the thing, though, is like, nobody asked for this fight, and people thought, that maybe like Nick was working like his last, this was like trying to get a fight out of his last fight card. Now he's still got 5 fights left on his contract, so there is no fighting out of his contract. The dude gonna be 55 before he ever gets out of this contract. I mean, it's weird. I hope Nick is okay, and I would like to see. I'm gonna root for Nick Diaz because I love both Diaz's are one of the two of the people that really got me into the UFC. And, I've been part of the Diaz army, you could say, but man, nobody asked for this one. I mean, really. And then on that same card, we got Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Tony moving up to welterweight. Not that we really needed to see him. I would rather just see Nick and Tony fight in a loser leaves town match. Loser has to retire match, and then we just get on with our lives.
Listen, you made a lot of sense. I mean, when you say Tony's going to welterweight, we got Nick coming out of nowhere from 11 years. We don't want I don't want to say it in a negative way, but we're not looking for Nick Diaz, and we don't want to see any more of El Kukui. Like, this could have been a put the gloves down match. I mean, this could have been a put the gloves down fight. Like, everybody put the gloves down after this. We'll write you out your contract. Just give me 3 good rounds. Let's see some slugging and all stand up. No ground game at all. When is the last time you wrestled, practiced your Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Like, how did this happen to you, my brother? But once again, I can't hate the people. The people want to see this, or there are people that want to see it, but it's not necessarily me and you. Let's put it like that.
I don't really know anybody in the MMA community that really wants to see Nick Diaz at 41 years old fight. I hope he gets the bag. I really do. It's in Abu Dhabi. So there's a lot of names on this card. It's going to happen in August. So I hope Diaz gets the bag and is financially okay. I hope he comes in a lot better shape than the Robbie Lawler fight. The Robbie Lawler fight.
Yes.
Looked like he was out of shape, and he just looked like broke his nose and was like, I don't even really want to be here, and was just kind of like done. In the second, I believe that was in the second round almost.
Second round, yeah.
It was the third round, I guess, but like early into the third round. But it was just like it's like he'd rather been any place but the cage, in the octagon. I don't know, but I hope he wins, and I'll be rooting for Nick. And I hope he goes off in the sunset, because I don't think he needs to be fighting at 41 years old after this one.
Yeah, listen, bro, you said it. It makes a lot of sense. Uncle Dana is not that bad of a guy, man. Hey, look, you need some bread. You got 5 fights left. I'll give you 2. We'll see how you do in the first one. If you look too old, you look out of shape, it doesn't look like it's in your heart anymore, I'll write you off his contract, man. Like, Nick Diaz is one of the people that put blood, sweat, and tears into growing the sport of MMA, or to making the sport popular, with him and his brother and their antics and their bravado in the ring. And I mean, inside of the octagon and outside of the octagon, I can respectfully say, hey, look, we'll write you out of the contract. You give me 3 good rounds. And I might even I might sprinkle a little something on you, just so you can, still be a figurehead. You can start your podcast. You and your brother, the Diaz podcast right now. I can see it happening.
They both hate media. They both hate talking. That's not happening. And nobody can understand a damn word Nate says at all anytime anyway.
Yeah, man, that lisp, that Dusty Rhodes type lisp is going to be happening. But look, hey, outside of that, we got some great fights, I think. Cheeto Vera versus Davidson Figueroa. Of course, everybody knows my guy Cheeto, your guy Cheeto, just took a really tough loss against the champ Sean O'Malley. coming back and looking at that and taking on a guy like Davidson Figueroa, who in my mind, is somewhat of a champion caliber fighter, if not, one of the best of, in the division. I think that's one to keep our eyes on because that has possible, repeat champion 1-2 implications, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, Cheeto just coming off the title fight, and Figgy is undefeated at bantamweight since making the jump to bantamweight. He's 2-0 at bantamweight, so that puts him right there as maybe one win away from a title fight. Corey Sandhagen's on that same card, who's going to be fighting. He wins. That's him and versus Umar. Corey wins that. He's next, really. You know what I mean? So. It'll be interesting to see. To wrap up this conversation on that card, and then we'll get into UFC 302. Whit, I got to ask you though, who's bringing the weed over to Abu Dhabi for Mr. Diaz, because they frown upon that in those parts.
Listen, when you get to those parts, man, you get to Abu Dhabi, you get to Riyadh, you get to Saudi Arabia. First of all, salam alaikum to all my Muslim Islamic brothers out there. You smoke the hashish. That's what you should do. You smoke the hashish. No, there's no marijuana over there, but they got they got the hookahs and they got the hashish over there. You smoke a little bit of that, and probably hit it twice and pass out. Okay.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, that lists that on the fights that nobody wants to fucking see. But fights I do want to see what happened this Saturday. And that is UFC 302, headlined by Islam Makhachev Islam versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. This is, the storyline is going to be built up for Dustin, right? The guy, one of the great fighters, one of the good guys in the UFC. His third and final crack at trying to win this lightweight title. 0-2, we know, lost to Khabib, lost to Charles. We know Islam is Khabib's pupil. He's, the miniature Khabib. Islam is, he's only lost one fight, knocked out Alexander Volkanovski with ease the last time out. Here we are. But this card seems to be, that's going to be headlined, is can Dustin finish the story a la Cody Rhodes in WWE?
Man, listen, dog, this is one that me and you've been talking about for a while. Of course, real quick, big shout out to everybody on IG. Shout out to my dog, Jay Jackson. What's going on? I see you over there watching it on IG. Right now, man, we've been talking about this fight in particular for a while. Ever since we've seen Dustin take on Benoit Saint Denis and win at UFC 299. We said that a title fight has got to happen, and somehow, some way, this is what we're getting. But he's fighting baby Khabib, a storied fighter in itself. Like you mentioned, one loss in all his fights, 14, right? And in that one loss, I don't even think he took it bad, but look at the people he's beaten in the past. He's beaten Oliveira. He's beaten Bobby Green. He's beaten Volk, Dan Hooker, Thiago Moises. Like, there's a list of guys, at least the last 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just put it like 4 because he fought Volk twice. That are really at the top of the top of the list, and he's not afraid of anything. One of the things I admire about fighters is those pre-fight conversations, and ever since they put a microphone in front of this man, he is seemingly unafraid of Dustin Poirier. He is not worried about nothing. You don't think Dustin could finish him. Not like it's. I don't know if that's good or bad.
He has. It seems like he has to diminish, and we'll make picks here in just a little bit. But I just want to talk about this fight before we start breaking down the rest of the card and making picks. But this he has to diminish where, but DP has been put down many times. A lot of people wrote him off against Benoit Saint Denis. People, especially coming off that, after Gaethje knocked him out a year ago. If you would have, nobody would have thought a year ago at about this time when Gaethje, sent him into the next dimension with a head kick that, we would be talking about Dustin Poirier in a title fight. But the way the division broke down, and here he is. People picked him against Max Holloway. People picked him against Conor both the last 2 times, and he's found ways to win. He is that, Dustin is that dude. It's going to be a tough fight. I mean, the odds even tell you it is. Islam is minus 600 favorite. So
say that again, please.
Minus 600 favorite. Dustin is a plus 400.
Man, listen. This is one of those, and we're going to get to picking. We're going to get to picking them in a second, but this is one of those, man. Even though it's 2 different fighters, I wonder if the ghost of the Khabib fight is somewhere in his mind when he's wondering, like, right, where he's wondering, like, he's like, I can't get choked out. I'm not going to get choked out. Don't get choked out. And everything that I've seen, the interviews with DC, the pre-fight interviews, Islam has it in his mind that not even just himself, but Khabib had said that Islam is going to finish him in the 2nd or 3rd round. We're not even going to make it to the championship rounds.
He'll be in Khabib will be in Islam's corner. So he lost to Khabib by submission in the 3rd round.
Right.
And really lost to Charles in submission in the 3rd round. So, right. Can he get to the championship rounds? We'll find out. But I mean, you look at, like, Dustin Poirier has really beaten a who's who in his career, and he's talked about this almost being near the end. But listen to the people that he has beat. You mentioned he beat Conor twice. He's beaten Bobby Green, Michael Johnson, Eddie Alvarez, Anthony Pettis, beat Justin Gaethje, even though Justin Gaethje got him twice. Max Holloway, he beat Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler. So it's like, he also beat Bobby. Did lose to the Korean Zombie, did lose to Cub Swanson, but those are also 2 legends in this game. Beat Max Holloway twice. When he was fighting at one at featherweight and one at lightweight. So like this kid, this guy Dustin Poirier has been, I say kid, but he's a man, and this man has been around a long time, and he's been in there with some legends. He's a legend in himself. Islam did say he's going to finish him, but Islam says he hopes that DP doesn't retire because he's still one of the top 5 best fighters in the world. But Islam's also diminished. It's like they called for this fight because they thought it was going to be an easy fight for Islam to just put away DP here. It'll be I'm looking forward to this fight because it's just all the storylines, that have me going.
Man, listen, you got it written up in the best way possible, bro. It's one of those that the storyline is deep. Can Islam, pretty much be a carbon copy of his mentor, which is Khabib. Can Dustin Poirier rise from the ashes once again to prove that he is top of the top? Some of and everybody watching, shout out to everybody who's live on the stream with us right now. If you heard some of those names that Bakins mentioned, that Dustin Poirier's fight, he's been around since he's been 19 years old, and he's fought some of the who's who in the UFC or in MMA in general. And somewhere in here, he's going to put the gloves down, and when he does, he's going to have had a storied career, whether this fight is a loss or not. I'm looking up at some of his career disclosed earnings. That's a quote unquote $2,056,000. That's not a lot when you think about what Khabib, what Islam, what Conor, these other fighters have made more money, but Dustin has been perennially in the ring fighting the tops of each division whenever he moves up.
Here's another thing for you too, Whit. He's got the storyline. I think they said, age 30, like 33 and above or something like that. 0-7 in title fights. DP is 35.
Oh, so, yeah.
that doesn't, but they tried to send him out to the pasture just a few months ago against Benoit Saint Denis, and he bit down on the mouthpiece and he put him down.
Jump to Gilly.
Yes, don't be silly. Jump the Gilly.
Got you.
So, but before we get to that fight, and we'll obviously finish our talk at 301 and make that pick. But let's open up the card and make some picks here. Opening up on the pay-per-view is none other than Randy Rude Boy Brown. He's taken on Dos Santos. Randy Brown is the favorite at -180. He's 18-5. He's won 4 out of his last 5. Dos Santos is the dog at +180. He's 24-7, and he's won 3 out of his last 5. Your thoughts on just the the opening card on the pay-per-view here?
Man, the thing is, if you look at it for namesake, there's a good amount of stuff right here. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
So I'll make my pick here in a second, but this card's got some other. On the prelims, Jolton Almeida is trying to make a comeback. He's at -290. So if you're a gambling guy, I like that. Grant Dawson as well, who's their UFC is very high on him. He's coming back as well. He's at -500. It's a pretty heavy favorite. And then Jake Matthews as well, who's been around a long time. You could probably sprinkle those 3 in on a parlay and kind of even some things out. So, but this main card here, this main event, not main event, but on the main card, Randy Brown, like I said, he's won 4 out of his last 5. He's the favorite at -180. I don't even know how to really say his name. Ezilio Zelzilki Dos Santos. So Dos Santos is the dog here tonight on Saturday at -150 or at +150. What's up, Rob? I like Randy Rude Boy Brown. He's fighting close to his home crowd to win. Give me the Rude Boy Randy Brown. That's who I like. That's who I like winning this one.
Oh, hey, I heard you talk about Randy Rude Boy Brown. I'm looking up here, man. I apologize. You know how it goes, man. Kids come in, you gotta say hello, kiss baby, change the diaper. And I'm the fastest diaper changer in Florida right now. I promise you.
Hey, there you go, brother. Shout
out to Rob. Appreciate you, Rob. As I look here, I'm a numbers guy. He's got some good fights. He's got some really good wins. The last 2, he's got some W's. Of course, what I'm saying, he's been winning decisions and pointing. He's got a nice round 1 victory. And somewhere in here, I think, like you said, with the pressure kind of, not necessarily being on him, but being around him for this fight, I think he'll rise to the occasion. And this will be one I ride with him on, to be honest with you.
You like the Rude Boy?
I'm liking the Rude Boy on this one.
So, as in Rihanna say, Rude Boy, Rude Boy, Rude Boy. We're both on Randy Brown. We get into the second fight here on the pay-per-view. It is Nico Price. Last time we saw Nico Price, he was getting knocked out by none other than the aforementioned Robbie Lawler that we just talked about not too long ago. Nico Price is 15-7. He's the dog on the card at +220. He's lost 3 of his last 4. He is taking on Alex Morono, who is 24-9. He's won 3 out of his last 5. He is the favorite at -270.
Oh man, now see, this is one of those where it's a either way. This is a toss up when it comes to the great white Alex Morono going out there. And when I think about what he did in April and a fight night, because I think I was one of the ones I scrolled on and was like, Oh, snap. Let me just sit down and watch it. He won by unanimous decision. He lost to Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley, who, of course, is on a little bit of a roll at that time. And then he bought Tim Means. And that was, when was that? That was in 2023. So, like, really, he's been on a bit of a roll for the year, or like if you just put a 12-month cycle around it. So I'm looking for him to kind of show up and show out, because in reality, having that 1-2-1-2, that loss win column thing going on, you might want to put your money on this one, where it comes out to him having the experience, knowing what to do, being able to fight now, and is more comfortable in the ring. I like Morono on this one, even though the record's 24-9. Let's not sleep as if he's not a competitor in the ring.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going with Alex Morono here to win this one. We get to the third fight on the card. It is the return. Two guys who just fought at UFC 299. The return of Kevin Holland back to middleweight this time. Back to middleweight Sports Shop. Well, what's up, Sports Shop? Appreciate you tuning in. But the return of Kevin Holland here at middleweight, he is the favorite at -290. Kevin Holland he's lost 3 out of his last 5, but he's not losing to bumps. I mean, listen to these names that Kevin Holland has lost to. MVP, Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, 2 guys who are highly ranked in the welterweights. But he did beat Michael Chiesa and Ponzinibbio, but did lose to Wonderboy Thompson. Again, a guy who's highly ranked. But this is back at middleweight, and he is taking on Michael Ozulacek, who is 19-7. Ozulacek has lost 3 of his last 5, both lost at UFC 299.
Yeah, man. I'm with you on this one. When I think about what he's gone through in order to get to this far, these last 2 fights, when I think about MVP's debut, when I think about Jack Della Maddalena, I watched that one. I think me and you were talking about that one as well.
Close fight.
Very close fight in a split decision. Michael Venom Page was just he's just an unorthodox fighter in the first place. I think he was just kind of unprepared, but he looked ready to fight. They're just not ready to fight Michael Venom Page. I think this is a bounce back fight for him. When I think about what I see from a record wise, because I am unaware it's unknown to me of how good Ozulacek is, but I see his record and it's looking pretty crispy at 7-5. He's beating Michael Pereira. Who knew?
He lost to Michael Pereira.
He lost to Michael Pereira. Kitty Ducati, and then of course, Kyle Barlow. Like it's a mixed bag of names that I know that he's lost to, and people that he's fought that I don't know that he's won. So let's see what he does against a name like Kevin Holland. And shout out to Kevin Holland, because I laugh every time I see that tequila commercial. Yeah, and with him and Wonderboy Thomas.
Who you got winning this one, Whit?
I'm gonna go with my guy, man. I gotta roll with Kevin on this one. I didn't go with him on the last 2 fights. I definitely didn't want him to beat MVP, but I'm gonna roll with Kevin on this one. I think he pulls it out.
This is my lock on the card. Lock it in, my guaranteed. Kevin Big Mouth Holland, baby, gets it done. Back in the winning streak, because then he's going to contemplate going back to middleweight. Please, Kevin, go back. Stay down in welterweight. You're great at it. But get this dub here. Kind of a short notice fight. I think he took this fight in about a month's time, less than a month, training camp wise. So we get to the co-main event, and this co-main is 5 rounds. It is the former middleweight champion of the world, Sean Strickland. We know Sean is coming off the loss to DDP back in
I'm telling people who's going to win.
January. I'm sorry. But before that, obviously, did beat Izzy in the shocker of 2023, and then he is taking on none other than Paulo Costa. Sean is the favorite at -245. Costa is the dog at plus 200. Costa is 14-3. The problem with Paulo Costa is the guy hasn't beat any ranked middleweight that's currently ranked. His last win was against Luke Rockhold in August of 2022. Before that, his last win was against Yoel Romero in 2019. Did look good against Robert Whittaker last time out back in February, but did ultimately lose a unanimous decision.
Man, look, the idea for this one is, whose comeback is going to be great. You know what I'm saying? Sean Strickland, we all know a story that will probably have to be put in a movie based on how he had the wherewithal to beat Izzy somehow, some way, and be champion, but then, of course, lose the title. Then, of course, we see Jordan Almeida over there. Not Jordan Almeida. My bad. Of course, we see Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa has been around. He's fought the who's who. Right now, sitting around at 6-3, or it's in my mind. He did well against Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is, literally one of the best in the division. So this is a great fight in my mind when I think about what the outcome could be. Who could possibly get a title fight after this or get closer to a title fight, let's say. But for me, for sure, as I pour this juice, literally, I can see my guy, Sean Strickland, pulling this out. I think Sean Strickland is really underrated as far as his striking is concerned. We got a chance to see it in the last two fights, but Paulo Costa is one of those big guys whose arms are shorter than we think in real life. And I feel like Sean Strickland is just going to piece him up with some of that dirty boxing that he did with that Philly shell. And it's really going to pay off because points do matter in the UFC, especially when standing. So shout out to my guy, Sean Strickland, who, if you talk about his father and alcohol abuse, he'll shed a tear. I really like that about him. But let's go ahead and put the W column up there for my guy Sean, and on his way back to possibly a title shot.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. Pablo does have short arms for as big as he is. And Paulo's never really been dragged into deep waters. That's the thing we got to remember. This fight is 5 rounds. Sean has gone 5 rounds with multiple people. I do think this goes all 5 rounds. But Pablo, I think, learned a little bit something from that Robert Whittaker fight, and that's he's got to remain aggressive. Right. And he at times wasn't as aggressive, and he said, hey, I need to be a bit more aggressive in this fight. Pablo needs this one to get himself reasserted back into the title picture. Where Sean, if he wins, great. He's probably still maybe one more, depending on if Izzy wins. If Izzy wins, maybe they run it back with him and Sean, because it looks like we're going to get Izzy versus DDP in Australia later this year. Maybe if Izzy wins, it's him and Sean, in the rematch. But nonetheless, it's not going to matter. We're going to separate ourselves here. I like Paulo Costa, baby. Give me the eraser to win this one in an upset at plus 200.
Oh man, bro! I like how you getting ballsy with the picks on this one, pulling out the Paulo Costa. So, from time to time, folks, even though you never knew that Watkins and I are brothers, we could disagree. But this is one of those rare occasions where I gotta go the other way, man. I'm thinking Sean Strickland. He's tasted the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? The top of the ice cream cone that you get is always the best. You know what I'm saying? And he's got a chance to have it. I think he wants to get back. I think he doesn't want that one time for him to get that far to be, like the precipice of his story. And we're going to look for another rise in action for Sean Strickland. So put me down for Sean on this one for sure.
All right, we talked about it at the start of when we started talking this card. It is main event time, and it is time. We've mentioned all the storylines. The pupil that is Islam, taking on the veteran, can paid in full, ready to go to war. Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Who's winning?
All right, man. You know, every once in a while we get on this show, and I tell everybody, all my watchers, everybody paying attention. You know, Nick, I got to use my brain and not my heart on certain fights. But on this one, I'm gonna use my heart, bro. I can't lie to you. I'm talking about that New Orleans cooking, that gumbo, that jambalaya, that good old soul down there, man. You know, paid the cost to be the boss is gonna play. James Brown, right out there. I think in my mind, if he could just figure out a way to piece Islam up, just piece him up. Use that long jab. Let's figure out a way to keep him in motion. Let's not give Islam direct angles for the thoughts about takedowns. So that way, oh my God, I'm scrambling. Let me try to figure out how to get him off of me. Up now, my back is available. Here goes the end of the fight as he chokes me out. If we can figure out a way to stop that, which I'm sure he has, because he knows. He knows. Khabib said, look, if I choked him out, you could do it too. Everything is going to be about standing up in this fight. Or everything for Dustin is going to be about standing up in this fight. And I think that Islam's chin has not been tested like Dustin the Diamond Poirier will test it. I'm going with the Diamond Dog on this one. I'm looking for a knockout in the 4th round. Yes, Kenneth, you are correct. You are correct, Kenneth. He is going to pull the ghillie, but I think that he's gonna try to pull the ghillie to get Islam's mind off of him striking. And as he gets his mind off of striking, let's see how the striking affects him, Islam, towards the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round when endurance and willpower will really matter.
You said it, Whit. Sometimes we pick with our hearts and sometimes we pick with our brains. 99% of the time I pick with my brain. But not this time, Whit. Not this time. We need a feel-good story. Yes. We need a feel-good. It's been a feel-good year almost for the UFC. And just one last time.
One time.
I don't care if he defends the belt, loses the belt. We need it one last time. And this is what's going. Yeah, hey, remember when Conor pulled the ghillie? That's what's going to happen. We need it one last time. We need the good guy, Dustin Poirier, as my dog on the card at plus 400. And new UFC lightweight champion of the world, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Cue the music, baby. Cue the music.
Uh-oh. Paid the call to be the ball.
We're probably going to get struck down on YouTube, but who cares, baby? It's the Diamond. Dustin Diamond Poirier, dog on the card, and new UFC champion.
Listen, he don't got
the cost to be the boss, paid in full. Let's go one last time. Give us the great story, Dustin Diamond Poirier, baby.
Listen, he don't got to fight as mandatory. He don't got to do nothing. He could put the gloves down for all I care if he wins. To be real,
I think give him.
He won't do it. He won't do it. But just to see, like, hey, I'm going out all the time. On some old Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning in Denver. I won, and that's it. But I think if Dustin wins, of course he'll stick around a little longer.
Give him one fight to defend the title. You know what happens with? Here's what Dustin's going to hope for. If he wins Saturday night, 1 month or later on this in June 29th, Connor Chandler. Connor wins.
Connor win. Uh-oh.
DP Connor 4 for the title. Ooh. And DP raking in because he gets all the pay-per-view points.
Yes. And then he rides out after Connor makes it a spectacle, as Connor will do, of course. Proper number 12 for everybody involved on that one. But
slapped him in the face for all them times he said his wife was in his DMs.
There you go. Hey, listen, we gotta make it real. We gotta make it real for the people. From time to time, folks, everybody knows me and Botkins get a little clairvoyant. We pull out our crystal ball and we tell you the secret sauce to the future. So if this happens, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to more Head Kicks and Haymakers, because we're gonna talk about it. Okay, I promise you.
I hope it happens. I think Connor's actually going to lose later in June, but we'll make that prediction when it happens. I'm picking with my heart here. Yes. One last time for the diamond. My head says absolutely fucking no way, but you know what? Sometimes you pick with your heart. You pick with your heart.
I'm with you on that one, bro. Everything in my mind is like, when like everybody has been around them old school stoves, like the coil is red hot and I can see it, but I just want to keep wanting to reach for it and touch it one time just to make sure. And that's Dustin Poirier. He knows that the coil is hot right now. He knows that the odds are against him. He knows that he's been training with somebody who beat him in a unbearable way. But he's going to go out there. He's going to put his hand over that stove one more time, man. And I'm definitely with him. Yeah, I still cook on one of those. Yeah. Hey, listen, hey, listen. We all got one. We all been there, bro. And sometimes the best food comes off of one of them stoves. If you know anything about New Orleans, baby, the best food comes out of New Orleans. So little gumbo from DP, little diamond gumbo. We're gonna see about that, baby. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, amen. And the Prudential Center is on Lafayette Avenue, so it only makes sense that DP wins the title. Third time's the charm. It's like that girl you just keep hollering at, and finally she says yes. Right. After you asked her out 3 or 4 times, and she finally says yes, and then you get home and you give her the best business she ever got, and she loves you forever.
Man, listen, that's a true story in many aspects. Sometimes you got to catch her drunk, but I mean, as long as you catch her and you talk to her first, and she agrees to it, that's all you got to do, bro. That's all you got to do.
With that wraps up our UFC 302 coverage. But before that, we got a little 5v5 card in Abu Dhabi. Talk to us about the boxing on Saturday night.
Well, my brothers and sisters, once again, you know how I do when it comes to boxing. I am the eyes only. I use the eye test. I don't really care about much else, but I got to use the eye test. This one looks like something that we should pay attention to. Everybody knows previously we got a chance to see the perennial champs become one and the same in the ring as Alexander Usyk beat Tyson Fury.
Rematch came out today. It's set for December, by the way.
Rematch came out set for December, and there are several fights on this card which could play into what happens after that rematch.
On this card.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one. Once again, salam alaikum to Turkey Al Sheikh, who put this together. We got Matchroom versus Queensberry. Of course, Matchroom as a promotion, and Queensberry of Marcus of Queensberry is a rule style of boxing in England. And bro, let's just keep it real. Whoever is doing the marketing for Turkey Al Sheikh,
they're putting together some cool stuff. This promos, the 5v5 stuff, because it's Matchroom versus Queensberry. Those two do different promotions,
right?
And it's 5 versus 5. Mm-hmm. And you go on their YouTube or what? It's the promotion is awesome when they announce these fights.
Man, listen, I mean, before when it was what's my guy? I can't now that I'm thinking about it, of course I can't call his name. But prior to now, everything that had to do with Turkey Al Sheikh has had some type of movie appeal or some type of
it was Fury versus Francis had one.
Right. There we go.
Even everyone's had like this movie type feel, like it's a cinema that you're sitting down when you're watching. Where they're announcing these fights. Shoot,
Francis and Anthony Joshua even had a playable game if you went online and did it. So this one right here, it's kind of like they went with a Smoking Aces kind of feel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's we got Deontay Wilder, the bouncer. Zhang Weili, the chef, and Dimitri Bivol, the cook, and the cards, and it looks awesome. So let's just talk about the fights All right, I'm at least talk about 3 really quickly, and I'm saying the rest of them is up to you. Willie Hutchinson, Craig Richards is at the bottom. Hamza Shuraev and Austin Williams, Ray Ford, Nick Ball right there, and then the top 3, of course, the ones that are going to like have some type of meteoric effect on what goes on in the boxing world. Philippe Horgovic and Daniel Dubois. Let me tell you something. This is the one that is not going to last long. Okay, there are other fights on this one. When I think about Daniel Dubois, okay, 20-2, big hands, heavy-handed guy, goes in there and looks to kill the opponent literally in the ring. Hands of stone. Nickname is Dynamite. I like that one. Then we got somebody who's a name. Every promotion has a name in an undercard or a co-main event. We got Dimitri Bivol, 22-0. Malik Zanad, 22-0. Somebody's got to get a loss in this.
Somebody coming away with their first L.
Somebody's coming away with their first L in this one. Malik Zanad, very slept on, in my opinion. But it's not very much known as to what you can do as far as what you're going to do to kind of throw him off of his game. He's got some really good wins in the past 4 fights. He's had one fight in 2024, but like 2 between 23 and 22 that he was really on fire for. I got a chance to look at those. But then my man, Dimitri Bivol, hello, wake up. If you've heard that name, it's because he fought Canelo one time. Did he beat Canelo? That's out for debate. But, hey, look, when it comes to names, this is what you want to do. Of course, like once again, did he beat Canelo? It was a unanimous decision. Canelo stands will say that Canelo lost. I mean, Canelo won, but of course he won that one. But let's just keep it real and look at what he's got going on. Gilberto Ramirez, Lyndon Arthur, both unanimous decisions. And he is one of those guys who is a volume puncher. You want to keep your eye on that one. It's probably going to go all 12 rounds. But then we got the big boys, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those where don't look at the records, don't look at the losses, but Zhilei Zhang, I saw that one at Deontay Wilder Bomb Squad, of course. Everybody knows Bomb Squad till this day. Everybody remembers that.
Wilder needs a bounce back coming off a loss. He needs
he needs a huge bounce back at this one. And Zhilei Zhang lost to Joseph Parker. And we all saw that one. He lost on the Ngannou Joshua fight by majority decision. But somewhere in there, these two guys come together and they make a powder keg happen right there at a main event. And for me, this is one where we get to see what exactly happens because both of these gentlemen have lost to Joseph Parker. Both guys are both like hard. Like when I say knockout artists, they both are, but somebody has to take the L in this one. I'm looking at Zhang to possibly beat Wilder. I am when you hear me say that, it makes me choke up because I am such a Deontay Wilder fan. But this is one of those where he may be outmatched because Zhang, even though a larger fighter, is way more agile than what he's used to. It's almost like fighting an Asian Tyson Fury, for example. So I'm looking for this one to go all 12 rounds, possibly just based on points. We can see Zhang come out on top because Deontay is going to go out there and swing for the fences. He's not necessarily a puncher who's going to go in there and beat somebody up. 1-2, 2-1, 2-3-4, different combinations. Nah, Wilder's going in there and take your head off the shoulders, and that's about it. Because that's what he does best. But once again, I'm excited to see the 5v5. I'm hoping that I'm available to at least look at the top 3 because I missed dang near all of the Fury versus Usyk prelims. But this one for sure, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care how do both. Yeah, I like this one right there. What did he say? Kenneth.
Du Bois throws cinders blocks at dudes.
Yes. Dynamite is the man's nickname, and I saw at least the last 2 of his fights, and it ain't no joke. So I'm looking at this as one that you got to pay attention to, and we're going to see who wins the 5v5, whether it be Matchroom or Queensberry. And we'll definitely come back and cover it the following week, right here on Headkicks and Haymakers, and let you know.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Real quick, Whit, before we get up out of here, you got any final thoughts on what you got going?
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks again, bro. I love it when we get a chance to do this. Everybody watching, y'all know on the flip side, on Fridays, I got LTS in the hoop. Shout out to my boy Tanner for putting that together for me. We got NBA Finals basketball to talk about, man. It's gonna happen. The Minnesota Timberwolves held on last night to not be eliminated by the Dallas Mavericks. My Boston Celtics is resting and waiting on whoever's going to come out of the West. I got a lot to talk about. And of course, everybody joining me will be there as well. So that's what we got on Friday. And then we back in the building on Wednesday, baby. You know how we do.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow night with an all-new episode of the LTS show, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. Right here. You can catch it right here as well. We'll be talking about the NBA playoffs, a little hockey, a little baseball as well.
Talk about that hockey.
Yeah, a little bit of whatever else comes along. But this has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. For my guy Whit, I'm Bodkins. We'll catch you back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. Another Wednesday show for UFC 302 post show. So we'll go over all the fights that happened Saturday, even the boxing that we just broke down. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you then. I'm going to hit that outro for Whit. I'm Bodkins. We'll catch you next week, baby.
Peace.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.